All right, so let's jump into a story that I think is really kind of shaking up the AI world.
Yeah.
You've sent us a bunch of stuff about this
Yeah.
young AI researcher at OpenAI
Right.
named Suchir Balaji,
Hmm.
and he made some pretty explosive allegations against OpenAI.
They did.
And tragically, he died just a few months later at age 26.
Yeah. Just 26 years old.
So there's a lot to sort of unpack here. We've
Yeah.
got lawsuits, we've got whistleblowing, and
Yeah.
some really big questions about the future of AI.
Absolutely. And one of the things that's so interesting about this is that Balaji wasn't just some,
Yeah.
outsider who was shouting from the sidelines, right?
Yeah.
He was deeply involved with OpenAI for
Ah.
4 years.
Yeah.
He even worked on the development of ChatGPT.
Wow.
So when he started raising concerns, people in the industry really, perked up and listened.
So walk me through this. What was Balaji's story? I mean, I understand he had some pretty serious concerns about OpenAI's practices.
Well, he was originally from Cupertino, California,
Oh, wow.
heart of Silicon Valley.
Right.
And his talent was evident early on,
Mm-hmm.
and it landed him a coveted spot,
Yeah.
at OpenAI.
Mm.
But it seems like his time there led him to believe that OpenAI was engaging in some
Yeah.
legally and ethically
Yeah.
questionable practices to kind of dominate the AI field.
Okay, so let's get specific. What exactly was Balaji accusing OpenAI of doing?
Well, his central claim was that OpenAI was violating copyright law
Uh-huh.
on a massive scale
Okay.
by using something called data scraping to train ChatGPT.
Now, I know data scraping is a big part of how AI systems learn, but maybe explain it to our listeners.
Sure.
What does it actually involve, and why is it so crucial for AI development?
So imagine a giant vacuum cleaner for information,
Okay.
right? That's essentially what data scraping is.
Yep.
Companies use really sophisticated software
Right.
to automatically gather huge amounts of data from all over the internet.
Yeah.
Websites, articles, social media posts,
Right.
code repositories, anything and everything that's publicly available.
Oh, wow.
And then this data is used to train AI models like ChatGPT,
Oh.
teaching them how language works, how to generate different writing styles, and basically how to mimic human communication.
So if I'm understanding this correctly,
Yeah.
Balaji was alleging that OpenAI was scooping up huge amounts of copyrighted material, books, articles, code, without getting permission from the creators
Yeah.
or paying for the rights to use it. And then they were using this to build ChatGPT.
That's exactly it.
Wow.
He argued that this practice was a clear violation of U.S. copyright law
Mm-hmm.
and that OpenAI was essentially profiting from the work of countless creators
Yeah.
without proper authorization or compensation.
Wow.
And he didn't just raise these concerns internally, right? He went public with his allegations.
Right.
He gave interviews to major media outlets like the New York Times and the Associated Press
Wow.
and provided specific examples of what he believed were copyright infringements.
So he was willing to take on one of the biggest names in tech.
Absolutely, he was.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this story so compelling.
Yeah.
Um, and it's also important to note that Balaji's accusations weren't made in isolation,
Mm.
right?
Why?
OpenAI is actually facing a wave of lawsuits from authors, publishers,
Really?
and other content creators who are making similar claims.
So these weren't just, abstract concerns. There
Okay.
were real legal battles brewing.
Exactly.
Can you tell me more about these lawsuits, who's involved, and what are they hoping to achieve?
So these are what are called group lawsuits,
Oh.
meaning they involve multiple plaintiffs
Yeah.
who have joined forces to sue OpenAI.
Okay.
And some of the names involved are pretty big. We're talking well-known authors,
Yeah.
major publishing houses, even some software developers
Mm-hmm.
who claim that their code was used without permission.
Wow.
And they're alleging that OpenAI's data scraping practices have infringed on their copyrights on a massive scale,
Okay.
and they're seeking significant financial damages.
So what else is at stake here? What could be the long-term impact if these lawsuits are successful?
Well, it could be a watershed moment for the AI industry.
Okay.
If these plaintiffs win,
Yeah.
it could force companies like OpenAI to be far more transparent about their data sources
Mm.
and potentially revolutionize how AI models are trained.
Wow.
Imagine a future where AI development relies on carefully curated data sets of licensed content,
Yeah.
or where creators are directly compensated for their work being used in AI training.
That would be a major shift.
It'll be a huge shift.
So for OpenAI, this isn't just a legal headache.
Yeah,
We're talking about a potential threat to their entire business model.
absolutely. The financial risks are enormous,
Yeah.
but so are the reputational risks.
Mm.
These lawsuits could paint OpenAI as a company that's willing to cut corners and exploit creators in their
Rawr.
pursuit of AI dominance.
Yeah.
And it really undermines their carefully crafted image
Right.
as a leader in responsible AI development.
This is getting really interesting. It's like a high-stakes poker game
It is.
with the future of AI hanging in the balance.
Yeah, and Balaji was clearly ready to go all in.
Wow.
Before his passing, he made it known that he intended to testify in these copyright cases against OpenAI.
Wow.
Think about the courage it took for a young researcher to challenge such a powerful company in court.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It's a shame we lost him so young, especially with all this
Yeah.
this mystery surrounding his death. But
Right.
let's kind of shift our focus back to the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
Balaji's story and these lawsuits against OpenAI, they force us to confront some pretty fundamental questions
They do.
about AI and copyright and the power of big tech, don't they?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I think one of the most crucial questions that Balaji's story raises is whose rights matter most
Right.
in this rapidly evolving AI landscape.
Are we talking about the creators, who are producing the original content that these AI systems are learning from? Are we talking about the companies who
Yeah.
are, developing and profiting from the technology?
Right. And we can't forget about the AI systems themselves.
Oh, wow.
Right. Some are arguing that, as AI becomes more sophisticated, maybe even sentient,
Right,
we
right.
need to start thinking about legal frameworks to accommodate these new forms of intelligence.
Wow. AI rights. That's a whole other deep dive waiting to happen.
Exactly.
But for now, let's stay focused on the human side of this.
Sure.
It seems like Balaji was primarily concerned with protecting the rights of creators.
Yeah.
He saw what OpenAI was doing as a form of exploitation, plain and simple.
Yeah, you're right. And that concern about creators' rights
Yeah.
is at the heart of many of these lawsuits against OpenAI.
Mm-hmm.
These lawsuits are essentially saying, you can't just gobble up our books, our articles, our code, our art without playing by the rules.
Yeah.
They're arguing that OpenAI's data scraping practices
Right.
completely undermine the concept of copyright and threaten the livelihoods of those who create original content.
It's a fascinating dilemma. I mean, on the one hand, we have this incredible technology
We do.
with the potential to revolutionize so many aspects of our lives.
Right.
But on the other hand, we have to ask ourselves if this progress is coming at the expense of the very people who are feeling it. The artists, the writers, the musicians, the programmers,
Yeah.
all the other creators who are pouring their, hearts and souls into their work.
It's a classic example of the tension between innovation and regulation. We saw something similar play out with the rise of the music industry and
Yeah.
file-sharing platforms like Napster.
Right.
It took years of legal battles and technological innovation to create a system where digital music could be shared and enjoyed
Yeah.
while still respecting the rights of artists and copyright holders.
Mm-hmm.
We may be entering a similar era with AI.
So how do we ensure that AI development benefits society as a whole?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
There's no easy answer. But I think it starts with recognizing that technology is never neutral.
Okay.
It reflects the values and priorities
Yeah.
of those who create and control it.
Okay.
If we want AI to be a force for good in the world,
Mm-hmm.
we need to demand that it be developed with ethics and social responsibility at its core.
That makes sense. And it kind of circles back to what we were discussing earlier about
Yeah.
the potential impact of these lawsuits against OpenAI.
Right.
If they succeed, it could force a major shift
It could.
in how AI is developed, maybe even lead to a new set of rules and regulations for the industry.
Right. And that could have ripple effects throughout the entire tech landscape.
Wow.
We might see more emphasis on data privacy,
Okay.
more transparency from companies about how they use our data,
Right.
and perhaps even new economic models
Yeah.
that ensure creators are fairly compensated for their contributions to AI development.
This is where it gets really interesting. If we zoom out even further,
Yeah.
this isn't just about AI or copyright. This is about the distribution of power in the digital age.
I agree.
Wow.
We're seeing this play out in so many areas.
Right.
Social media, e-commerce, online advertising.
Yeah.
The question is, who gets to control the vast amounts of data that are being generated every second?
Yeah.
Who gets to profit from it?
Right.
And whose voices get amplified or silenced in the process?
These are questions that we all need to be asking ourselves.
Absolutely.
Not just policymakers and tech leaders.
You're absolutely right. We're all stakeholders in this digital revolution.
Yeah.
And we need to be informed and engaged if we want to shape a future
Right.
where technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
Well said. Balaji's story, tragic as it is,
Yeah.
serves as a powerful reminder that we can't afford to be passive observers
Right.
in this technological revolution.
Yeah.
We need to ask the tough questions,
We do.
demand accountability from those in power, and advocate for a future where AI is used ethically and for the benefit of all.
Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in all the hype around AI and, all the amazing things that it can do, the potential that it holds to solve, complex problems. But Balaji's story reminds us that we can't just blindly embrace this technology without, considering the ethical costs.
I completely agree. We need to be thoughtful and discerning users of AI, always questioning its applications, and demanding that it be developed and deployed responsibly.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Suchir Balaji's legacy and these ongoing legal battles surrounding OpenAI, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question to ponder.
Sounds good. What do you have in mind?
In a world increasingly driven by AI, whose rights matter most? Is it the creators who are pouring their hearts and souls into, writing books, composing music, developing software, creating art? Or is it the companies who are racing to profit?
From this, revolutionary technology. Could it even be the machines themselves?
Wow.
As AI evolves to levels we can barely imagine.
That's a question that's likely to be debated for years to come. And there are no easy answers. But I think by engaging in these difficult conversations, by openly and honestly discussing the ethical implications of AI, we can help shape a future where technology empowers us without compromising our values.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a heavy but incredibly important conversation.
It has been.
We encourage you to
keep
exploring these issues.
Please do.
Stay curious and never stop asking the tough questions because the future of AI is ultimately in our hands. It's up to all of us to ensure that it's a future we can all be proud of.